Hello everyone, Jose of Your Fish Keeping. If you keep planted tanks, CO2 is one of the vital parts for keeping your plants healthy. Even those who are not CO2 required or minimum requirements still do much better with it. On the right is the CO2 diffuser, which is one of the components of the system, and I will show you how to clean them and take care of them. CO2 is vital for growth, development, and production of oxygen and functions of normal plant growth. This particular plant just decided to grow a nice long stalk and reach out for the light. And it did have some pretty nice little flowers. Right now what we're seeing is just the seeds left. So one of the things with CO2, these tanks have been well established. On the right you can see a diffuser that is full of algae. 3 out of the 4 large tanks I use CO2. They're life plants. The 4th one I do not use CO2 because he has species that love plants. This diffuser has a little bit of algae buildup. It's been cleaned maybe the last few weeks, and this is the drop checker. So once you fine tune everything, you can maintain your proper levels of CO2, and then you really don't have to do much more. I don't really have an algae problem at this point since they're well established, but the diffuser seems to be a point where algae loves to build up. This is a different tank. You can see that it looks quite dark already. These tiger lotus that are in front of us here, and there's a large school also of cardinals there swimming around. They have done quite well, the plants, and they do thrive once the CO2 is there. I had to have it off for a while because I was doing some work on the floor, and I just did not make the time to reconnect all the tubings and everything else, but they have done quite well. So one other thing that I have found is that I do have to regularly remove them and clean them periodically. I do use straight bleach. These two tiger lotus, they're slightly different varieties. As you see, I already taken them out of the tank. The one at the top, it is very dark, and I just use straight bleach. You may have seen something else online where they use a portion. Again, this doesn't get harmed by the bleach. Nothing is going to go in the tank after this is done. So I just put them in straight bleach. No dilution at this point, only just to get a faster job done. And I put them on a little bit of time lapse at this point here, and you can see that it will take care of the algae quite quickly. It probably took about 10-15 minutes until it got to the point that it is at the final step here. While we continue to let this occur, the purpose of this video is not to teach you how to deal with the CO2 directly. There is another video before this. Those little pieces of tubing that you see, the black tubing, I had broken. I don't know how many of these diffusers I have broken over time handling. They're very fragile, they're glass. And what I decided to do was just, there's this quick connector, which I'll show you later in the video, that have been really a lifesaver, or I should say a diffuser saver. They're quick connects, they do not leak, and they're very easy to remove them and do servicing on them. They do quite well. Some of the they already have kind of a brownish stain, which is not algae, but they do clean up very nicely after a little bit of time. Once all the algae is gone, I'll go through the washing procedure using Safe or Prime, whatever you choose. The water that has been inside the diffuser while it was in the tank, I just leave it in there, remove it. At this point, I'm just using gloves at this point to protect my hand from the bleach, and I'm just going to remove the hand. The little stalks, glass stalks, just be very careful because they can break easily. This one has a little bit of brown still. That's the brown stain that I said earlier. The other ones, they clean up pretty nicely within a few minutes, as I said, with the straight bleach. I'm not concerned about the amount of bleach that I put in. I have in the past used as a test a ridiculous amount of house bleach in a test tube and added a little bit of Safe, and the bleach is immediately undetectable. So don't make yourself crazy about worrying about how much bleach is or whether any bleach is going to go into the tank. You'll see as I finish, I'm just washing anything that is just on the surface there. See that right now they still stain down, they don't float because it's full of water, but I am just going to remove all the water that's inside there. I may have a little bit of bleach, or I just want to get it clean so that I can get some water with Safe inside there and remove it. I am using this standard 60cc syringe with a lure lock, that kind of tip that you attach a needle directly to. And you can easily, if you just hold a little pressure there, you can easily remove all the water that's inside. Notice how I'm just holding it by the stalk so I don't create any pressure and break the diffuser, as I've done many times. So I'm just gonna do the rest of them, remove all the water, and repeat the process. See, now that it's not sitting, it's floating on the side. I'm just going to add well more than enough that I would need per gallon recommendation, just that I make sure that this is really saturated with safe. So I'm just going to remove all of the rest of the water inside it, and I'll get some safe through the diffuser, through the membrane, and fill it up with water that has been treated with safe to neutralize any chlorine that remains. It is much easier to pull on the syringe to remove the water than trying to push it out. I removed all the water out of it. They do float, as you can see there. The water, when I put it back into the tank, it'll be empty, and eventually they just fill up on their own anyway. So I'll just let them be. But what I will do is I'm going to take some of that solution that's extremely saturated with the safe at this point in time, and I'm going to force and inject safe solution back inside the water. It is relatively easy, but just again, I remind you, just hold it by the stalk and be careful, because you will break. They easily break, and I cannot count how many I've broken. So you see, it bubbles through nicely. If you try to suck in the other direction, it'll go, but it's a lot more force that you require. So it's just easier to push it out. And the same drawing it out, you can push, as you'll see a little bit later, you can push out and you can force the water out of the membrane. But it is much better just to push in that direction. Now you're getting enough safe in this, they can stay seated there. I left them for a little bit of time, not that much, because as I said, the safe will be immediately eliminated. I'm just passing more fluid through the membrane while it sits in there. And this is, I can guarantee you that there is no chlorine in that water or anywhere in those diffusers anymore. So I have no concerns of putting them back into the tank and worry that there will be any traces of chlorine. So again, I'm not worried about it. There will be none. So that's just back at the tank right now. The water that was inside was safe. I am removing it again. Again, sucking out with the syringe is just much easier than trying to push as I'm doing here. It'll come out, but it is much more forceful to get it, and you have to try many attempts to empty one out, and of course risk breaking the diffuser. So just pull, it will be much easier, and you just have to hold a slight force between the tubing and the syringe just to maintain a seal, and it really holds a nice tight seal getting it out. This is really quicker, just aspirating with a syringe. Now once all of them are done, I'm just putting the suction cups back on again. So you could see that the tubing, that quick connect piece that I use quick connect on my water hoses, and I looked around online. There had to be a quick connect that would fit these tubings, and I find these at Amazon. They probably there was a package, I think, of 10 or something like that, and it worked out to about $1 a piece, which is well worth the amount of breakage that you will cause if you try to disconnect the pieces of hose directly at the diffuser. So once it's there, you have the back on your tank. This is the 120, the discus switch. I like to keep it at the front so I can see activity. I can see that things are moving. And one of the tanks, I have it towards the back corner where the heaters and everything else is, but I can still see functioning. But this one, I like to keep it at the front so I can see that it's staying. Now once they're in, they're very clean, as you can see there. They do function quite well after. Not 100% of the membrane, it comes out through one side. Some of it, whatever force is coming out through, if I would increase the flow really high, excessive, enough to kill the fish, then you're going to get air coming throughout the membrane. For the adjusted flow rate and drop rate that I have on this right now, you only see a portion of the diffuser membrane with bubbles. Again, it doesn't have to be coming out. If everything is coming out through all the other areas, that means too much is coming out, but this is enough. It keeps the diffuser working properly, it keeps it clean, and the pores don't close on it. So this is one way just to achieve that your equipment is properly functioning for the health of your plants. And they have I've noticed that once the CO2 was off, they didn't do as well. If you have been doing CO2, you probably do this or a form of it or some other method to get them clean and keep them clear and functioning. Most of my videos, I try to deal with people new to the hobby or people who may be new at starting something in particular, or whatever the subject of the video is. So I thank you so much, and I hope this was useful to you.